Hello, I'm Lieutenant James Crippen with the Saginaw Police Department. I've been with the Saginaw Police Department for about 15 years, and I'm here to show you the Civilian Response to Active Shooter Event Training. The class should be about approximately 2 hours long, and I hope you enjoy the training. This class, it's called Civilian Response to Active Shooter Event. It's an extension of what's called ALERT, okay? ALERT is who teaches us what to do in the active shooter stuff. It is a nationwide course. It's taught to every officer across the nation the exact same way. One day ALERT come up and said, why aren't we teaching civilians what to do? So that's where this class comes from, okay? Definition of an active attack event. First thing that we want to talk about is when this stuff is broken down, it's broken down by two different agencies. It's broken down by ALERT and it's broken down by the FBI, okay? Every time we hear active attack, first thing we think of is a shooting. They don't look at it that way. Active attack events can be anything from a shooting to somebody driving a car through a marathon, anything like that. Attempted mass murder, what they break that down to. I do not agree with this, but you need to know this for this class. They break it down to 4 or more hurt or killed, okay? I don't agree with that because they categorize any event with that like that. So we have the gang members over in Stop 6 that do a drive-by one night and they shoot 4 people or more. That goes down as a number as an active attack event, okay? We're going to concentrate more on the active attack events where what y'all would normally think of. So as we move through it, they break down everything that we have. So if we have a school shooting or a movie shooting or somebody drives through a parade or something like that, that thing is analyzed and broken down to everything. One of the things that they've never been able to do is develop a profile. There's no profile to these people that commit these crimes that matches to anything, to any of them, as many as we've tried to break down. So it can be anybody, anywhere, at any time. The one thing they have found is most of them do have that Avenger mindset. Some broadcast, that's become more popular lately, where you see the Facebook Live, or they'll go back and find out that he posted stuff on social media that has thoughts of this or he has thoughts of that or something like that where he wants to do something. History of violence, exposure to violence, substance abuse, mental illness, suicidal thoughts, stalking, harassing, any negative family dynamics, isolation, stuff like that. I'm going to be honest with y'all, we worry about that with everybody, right? So that seems to be a key thing with everybody, no matter if you're robbing a store or you're creating an active attack event or anything like that. One of the things I want to touch on y'all about is others are concerned. This is where we tend to fail in a lot of places. So when you see that student or you see that person you know or that friend or that family member or whoever it may be that's having some sort of behavior or doing something that causes you to be concerned, what's the typical mindset of people? Something wrong with you. Step in. Figure out what's wrong with them. Talk to them. See if you can help them. See if you can find them where they can get help. See if you can do something like that, okay? And that way they understand that maybe we can do something for them before they get to this situation right here, okay? So we do want to touch on that real quick. Before we get into any of the videos, I want y'all to know that there is nothing gross. There's nothing that should create anxiety or fear in y'all. That is not our attempt to do this. The videos that we have, all except one, and you'll see what I mean, it's not bad. All of them are done by ALERT instructors. We created the video for y'all so that you could see what we were talking about. My job today is not to scare you or create anxiety as educators or employees through EMS ISD. It's to more empower you through knowledge that there is something you can do, okay? I want to stress that to you. Right here, this is from 2000 to 2018. This is what the FBI and ALERT considers active attack events through the United States. You can see the years as they pass up top. It's with a gun, a knife, or a car, and we'll let that play out. Right now, you're probably thinking, I'm glad I don't live in the Northeast. 316. This is where I wanted y'all to understand 4 more by the FBI and alert. I don't agree with that, okay? If we take a lot of that out of there, this number will come down, all right? Why do I want y'all to realize that? Because when you look at where we go every day to work or to eat or out with our family or anything, what do we teach our kids? Look at stuff in a big picture, right? In the big picture, the violence is actually much smaller than what the news wants you to believe, okay? It's not as bad as what we think it is, but it is still prevalent there, and that's why we have this class. If I say active shooter event, the first thing that comes to every mind is where? A school. Why? Because we're natural, we're human. So what happens is schools have children. Children hit us harder emotionally than adults do. So that's what sinks into our mind, okay? If you'll check it out, commerce is the #1 spot, right there, in front of education. That means a person working at Walmart or Amazon has got a better chance of happening at his work than you do in this school. So education comes in second, outdoors, which will be things like your marathons and stuff like that we talked about, or the Las Vegas shooting at the outdoor concert, and then other is down here where they had no classification for it. So the whole point of that, it doesn't matter where you're at, it can happen anywhere, okay? So we're going to pause right there for a second, because what I want you to understand is we teach this in a certain way. What I'm teaching you today is tailored kind of towards a school event, because that's where your employees. But what I'm teaching you today doesn't have to be used in a school event or while you're at work. It can be used at the boat show, it can be used at a hotel, it can be used in the movies, it can be used at a restaurant, it can be used anywhere y'all go. The information I'm providing today, I want to change your mindset to everywhere you go and how you live your life. Attacker connection, we talked about them trying to find those profiles and things like that. 55% have a connection, 45% don't. All they're trying to tell you there is we have an event at Walmart, you got a 45% chance that guy doesn't know anybody who works there, he's never worked there, he doesn't know anything about that place, all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't always mean that the attacker has some sort of connection to the place that he's at. Sometimes they just pick a place. Columbine in 1999, I'm sure everybody remembers that. That's where the first big school shooting happened. That's the thing that kind of opened everybody's eyes up in America to what's going on. Columbine is actually what created Alert, if you will, all right? And then they started putting out stuff for, okay, how are we going to handle this and what are we going to do? So Alert was originally created for law enforcement response and what we do. About 2001 is when Alert put out the first program for law enforcement to train. Why does law enforcement need to train that way all over the nation? Anybody? A good example. If you were to have something happen right here in Chisholm Trail High School, you're not going to get just Fort Worth PD. You're going to get Fort Worth PD, Lake Worth PD, Saginaw PD, Blue Mountain PD, Texas DPS, Tarrant County Sheriff. They're all going to be coming, and they're going to be coming in the hundreds. If you look at Uvalde, once every officer's response was there, they had over 400 patrol cars at that school. So we come in a mass event. So the whole purpose of this is now I'm at your school, and I'm from Saginaw, and this guy over here is from Fort Worth, and this guy over here is a state trooper. We're all trained the same, which means when we enter the school to stop that threat, everybody knows we don't need to know each other. I don't even need to know your name. We all know what we're doing, and we know how we're going to do it together. Virginia Tech, one of the things we're going to talk about in this class is time. Seconds do matter. It's been proven time and time again that these seconds matter. One of the things I know the school district went to this year was keeping those doors locked. There's a reason for that. I know it's a pain for you guys. I get it. But we're going to kind of go over that and why does it matter? Because those seconds do count when this stuff happens. Virginia Tech, we put this slide in here because it's a great example. The shooter comes in and enters room 211 first, okay? We're going to go through this, and then later there'll be a teacher that was actually in Virginia Tech that survived it, but we're going to let her talk to you for just a minute about why some things work and some don't, okay? The shooter enters room 211. That's where the most deaths occurred. You can tell by the colored numbers in here, okay? After 211, he actually comes out of there and he goes right next door to 207. After he's in 207, he goes to 206. We're down over here to 2, okay? Then you get over here. This is only one person killed in this room right here. This particular room, in room 204, the fourth room that he went to, the professor barricaded the door and then held it closed. He instructed his students, go out that window and leave the building now. Okay? Alert is ever changing, just like education is. Back in the day, we taught everybody to hide and hope, find a place to stay. If you can't get out, that's what we do. Since then, we've changed stuff. If there's a way out, find it, use it, and leave. He shoved all his students out this right here. He was shot through the door and killed. He was the only one because he's the only one that didn't leave the room. By the time we got over here into room 205, they barricaded the door with as many items as they could find. One of them was a desk. Then they laid down flat on the ground, put their feet against the desk. The next students laid down behind them, put their feet against their shoulders, so he couldn't get the door open. Nobody died in that room because he couldn't get in, okay? One of the things we're going to talk about is barricading. Typically what we found in active events like that is if it's a shooter or something and they come to those barricaded doors, they don't spend a lot of time trying to get through it. They move to the next thing. Because when you notice these active attack events, they don't last long. 11 minutes or less probably. So they don't want to sit there and spend 5, 6, 7 minutes trying to get through the door that you've barricaded. So it does work, because once they can't get in, they're gone. Time to go to the next door. That's why everybody in this room right here, it worked. When we talk about seconds, look at the number of deaths in the first 2 rooms as time went on. That's because these right here, they had no idea it was coming. There was no way for them to prepare. There was nothing they could do. Classroom doors were open. Guy steps into the room and starts shooting. What do? You couldn't prepare. You couldn't barricade. You couldn't lock out. You couldn't hide. You couldn't go out the window. They had no choice. So they just kind of had to take it as it came. All right? Blacksburg, Virginia, same thing. This is the actual window that the students went out. That is a picture of it. Okay? Happened on April 16th, 2007. One attacker, 2 pistols with spare ammunition. He barricaded the exterior doors with chains, systematically killing victims. 11-minute attack, killed 32, wounded 17. 2 things we want to concentrate on here, okay? With 2 pistols. You don't see that much anymore. Now everybody uses what? A rifle, the AR-15 rifle, okay? The attacker barricaded the exterior doors with chains. That's all right. We ain't worried about that. One of the biggest questions I get from educators is, y'all lock out. Well, what happens when we lock y'all out? Do not worry about that. We're going to get in the building, okay? We have a whole bunch of cool stuff that we like to break stuff with, and then Dr. Shadwell wants to know why we broke his stuff. But we'll get into the building, okay? If it means that you find the front of one of my brand new patrol cars in your office, you will. But we're going to get in that building, okay? Chaining doors and stuff like that, don't worry about that stuff. Do your lockouts appropriately, as you're supposed to. Don't worry about locking the police out. We'll take care of that when we get there. That's not your responsibility. Las Vegas, Nevada. The reason we brought this in, for those of you who don't know, Las Vegas, Nevada was an outdoor event. It was a concert. This is where the shooter was several floors up in a hotel. Okay, and if I remember right, I think it was the 32nd floor. So he was way up there. He had the whole crowd below him outside. They had nowhere to hide behind or anywhere to go. Okay? Let me see if I have, nope. If I remember right with Las Vegas, Nevada, that guy shot over 300 rounds. Okay? It was like a sniper up in a hotel room. Has a hard time. One, we have to figure out where he's at. Then we have to go get him. The guy's like 32 floors up in a hotel room. One of the reasons that we point this out is because one of the things we're fixing to cover is your reaction when stuff like this happens. Now remember, we're not just talking about in a school setting, we're talking about in a restaurant. We're talking about at the movies with your family. Anywhere like that, okay? We don't want to panic. You want to slow down. He killed almost 400 people that day. When it was all said and done, there were over 800 killed or injured. When they broke it down and they did their stats, the other half of them were injured or killed by us. People panicked. So they trampled them, they stepped on them, they crushed them, they did everything else. So when you panic that way, we're not helping each other. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about is how do you control that. Sutherland Springs, we brought that one in because it brings it home. As you saw when we put the graph up there, not a whole lot of stuff in Texas, right? Well, stuff does happen here, okay? Sutherland Springs was the church shooting. That's where the guy lived next door, sees the shooter go in, kick the doors in shortly after service starts, and starts shooting. The guy next door says, I don't think so, we're in Texas. So he goes in and gets his own gun. He comes out, actually gets in a chase with this guy, till he chases him down, and they were able to catch him. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, that was on February 14th, 2018. You guys probably know it better as the Parkland shooting. That's what it was. One attacker, he killed 17, wounded 17. He left the scene, was apprehended later by Coral Springs after the incident. That's another thing. We brought this in here because we want to touch on something. If the student comes into the building or the person wherever you're at does something and they're on the way out, it's Texas. What I tell y'all, what do? I don't think so. You didn't do that here. If they're going to leave, let them leave. Be gone. Let him start his car and drive away. Why? Because number one, first and foremost, that ends what? The attack. Okay? That's what we want to do. Don't worry about him getting away. That's our job after that, to go track him down and take care of that problem. If everybody will remember, I believe it was last year when they had the single shooting over at the Mansfield Timberview School. Student files out after he shoots the kid, leaves with the rest of the students. Arlington and Mansfield PD arrest him 2 hours later at his house. That's fine to do that, okay? Let him go, guys. If he's going to leave, don't worry about tackling him or anything like that. Let him leave. That stops that attack. Robb Elementary School, when we put this slide together, we felt it was very important to bring in here because the last thing that happened last year was Uvalde. We know as educators and school employees that brought a lot of concern to y'all coming back this school year. Something we wanted to touch on. I can tell you that they have not finished their assessment of this and put it all out to it yet, okay? We won't touch on it a lot. What I can tell you is I've seen the video myself. I've watched it twice. They stood in the hallway for 71 minutes, okay? I can assure you that will not happen here. I can tell you that. We're not Monday morning quarterbacking Uvalde in any means, okay? That's not the way we train as alert. That's not what's going to happen here, and I want y'all to understand that. Now, there's two situations that could have happened there. When we have somebody that comes into the school, if I have a kid that goes into a maintenance room, a cafeteria, a classroom, or anything like that, and he barricades himself in there, and he hasn't hurt anybody yet, but he's holding them all, let's say, at gunpoint. We're going to hold up when we get in there because it's not an active event, is it? It's a barricaded person. So at that time, we'll surround that area and we bring in the people that are hostage crisis negotiators, one of y'all, all right, that have children. And we're going to try to talk to him because the whole idea is we don't want him or us hurt. Nobody gets hurt in this. The issue that me personally, that I have with Robb Elementary School is as you enter the building and we begin to talk to him, as soon as one shot is fired, there's no more talking. That's when we push and we take over the room within seconds, okay? As soon as that shot's fired, now we went from what? We went from that barricaded person to that active attack. So we have to be able to change gears within seconds. The issue that I had is I watched this, I heard several shots being fired while they stayed in the hallway. My question personally, what are you doing? I can tell you anybody from the Saginaw Police Department will enter that room within seconds. We will end that problem as soon as it happens. Number of deaths. This is a simple deal. How quickly do police arrive to these events on average? Anybody want to take a guess? Anyone? What you got? How many?
3 minutes.
She cheated. You go through this class before?
I have.
All right then. Okay, she's correct. 3 minutes is the average time across America in an active attack events to get your first patrol cars on scene. I'll be honest with y'all, 3 minutes when you're in your shoes in that situation seems like January, February, 3 minutes is actually considered a very, very acceptable response time, okay? I actually did some research on this when we put this together, did not know it. The United States of America has the fastest response time for fire, police, and medical than anywhere in the world. Target availability. What are we worried about in those 3 minutes? This is a simple rule, people. You can't shoot something you can't see. So that's something we're going to concentrate on, okay? If I can't see you, I can't harm you. The background of science of how people act. This is where we're going to come back to what we were talking about just a little bit earlier, about that panic mode and shutting down and things like that, okay? So, when something happens, we're natural, we're human, every one of us. Doesn't matter who you are, even if you're a police officer, we go through the same thing. We have to train the same way that we're teaching y'all to train today, all right? Denial. That's the first thing that we do when something happens, is we want to deny it. No, are you kidding me? There's no way that was what I thought it was. This is not happening here. This does not happen to people like me, so on and so forth, all right? Then we go to that deliberation stage. So you guys are sitting out there in that restaurant, and the first thing you do is go, was that gunshots? Was it? What do you think we ought to do? What are we wasting? Time and seconds, baby. We're wasting those time and seconds, okay? And then finally, as humans, we come to that decisive moment. I think we ought to go ahead and leave. Well, we're going to train you how to get past that, all right? We're not going to deny. As soon as you hear those gunshots, everybody in here knows that sound. Gunshots are very distinctive. It's not somebody dropping a glass in a restaurant or dropping a tray somewhere. They're very distinct sounds. So in your mind, you automatically know what it is. But what do? No. Was it? So we want you to realize, that's gunshot. So what do? We go straight to deliberation. We don't want that time in there of you guys sitting there trying to figure out what to do. We want to get past that, no matter where you're at. Okay? Human brain, lizard brain. Believe it or not, lizard brain is a medical term. I didn't believe somebody told me that. I looked it up. It was. So what is the difference between the human brain and the lizard brain? The human brain is what we just talked about. It's where we sit there and deny it. We deliberate about it, things like that, because we don't want to believe what's happening is happening. We want you to use what's called a lizard brain. Why do they call it the lizard brain? Everybody knows when you were a kid, you walked out back and you see that little lizard sitting on that log and you reach out to grab it. What's the first thing that lizard does? He's gone. He didn't deny it. He didn't deliberate about, is he going to touch me? You know, they don't do that. Animals don't act that way. They react immediately to self-preserve. That's what we need to do as humans, all right? Human brain, fight, flight, and freeze. Everybody knows that, right? Is everybody aware of that? That's what our nervous system does. That's how our nervous system reacts, okay? Lizard brain doesn't do that. According to the medical doctors, everybody relaxes at about 60 beats per minute. I disagree. I haven't been at 60 beats a minute in 20 years, okay? When stuff happens, you're going to climb this ladder, and you're going to climb it within a matter of seconds. Same thing happens to us as officers. Same thing happens to firemen as firemen. Same thing happens to our military veterans in Iraq. They're all taught to control it the same way. Because when we climb, what happens is, as you get to about 90 beats per minute, that's going to happen in a couple of seconds, okay? You're going to start losing fine motor skills. Now, I know y'all are thinking, wait a minute, I go to the gym and I exercise all the time at 120 to 150 and I still got my fine motor skills on a treadmill. Correct, you do, but somebody's not trying to harm you. When somebody's trying to harm you, a total different reaction comes through the body. So you lose those fine motor skills at 90 beats a minute. At 120 beats a minute, you start losing more motor skills. At 150, okay? This is where stuff starts to close in. You start losing auditory, you start losing vision, and things like that. If you ever heard anybody that's been through something stressful, what do they tell you? I went from here to here on that vision. Or they'll tell you, I don't really remember. It's like I couldn't hear anything because they're sitting at that 150 beats a minute. So the sound is there, but they don't recognize it. She's over here, but I don't even see her anymore because I'm right here. My vision's right here. I'm not paying attention to that big picture anymore. And then at 175 beats a minute, that's where people really start to lose it. They pass out, they faint, they lose their bowels, stuff like that, because then their body's just completely shut down and they've gone way out of where they need to be. All right? You will reach that 175 very, very quickly if you don't do what we do. So when stuff happens, according to all the doctors in the world, there's only one way to control this. Take a deep breath. Because what happens is by taking that deep breath, and I know my athletic guys are back there somewhere. They know this. Taking that deep breath does what? Slows your heart rate. And what are we dealing with here? Heart rate. Okay? We want to take that deep breath and take another one if you have to. Take another one if you have to. Get that heart rate down so that you calm down, you can start hearing, you open that vision back up to a big picture so you can see everybody and what's going on, and you can function to complete your task. Okay? That's what we want to do. So when stuff happens, we want to function, we want to complete the task. If you have to talk to yourself, that's fine. All right? Here in just a second, this is one video that's not an instructor. This is a real video, there's no sound. It's not anything traumatic. What I want you to focus on is there's going to be a mother with a stroller right here in just a minute, okay? Watch how much trouble this lady has getting her own child out of her stroller. Something she does every day. Why did that happen? Because her heart rate's up there at 150 beats a minute, and that's how quick it happened. What she needs to do, deep breath, concentrate. I need to unbuckle this to get my child out and complete the task. Okay? I understand that what I'm asking y'all to do is very much harder said than done, but it will save your life. Okay? That was the only reason we brought that in there. We're going to calm ourselves. We're going to take that deep breath, shift our emotions, and of course they're going to add stay fit in there because it's alert and it's law enforcement and they tell us when we get fat and all that stuff. You know. But where they come with that stay fit is obviously the better fit you are, the more you can calm yourself and stuff like that. It's easier to control your breathing. But that's what we want y'all to, if you remember nothing else today, take that deep breath, big picture. What do I need to do right now to complete the task at hand? All right? Script and practice. This is one of the things that cops do constantly. What is scripting? Scripting can be used in several different definitions. What do we do when we script? Is anybody in here married to law enforcement? Nobody? Not one? Okay, well, then let me explain to you. Every time we go into a restaurant, my wife knows not to sit in the chair that faces the front door. You better get out of that chair, woman. That's mine. That's my chair. You know, so what's going to happen when we're done with this class today is when all y'all go out to eat, you're going to tell your husband or your wife, don't sit in that chair. That's my chair. And there's a reason for that. What are we scripting, okay? When y'all came in here and you sat down today, how many of y'all actually sat down and went, where's my exits? There we go, got a few. Where are those exits at? Remember we were talking about those. If I don't have an exit, what can I use for cover? What can I use for concealment? Concealment is a curtain, right there. I can't see you, but it doesn't stop a bullet, okay? Cover, something we can get behind, stop that round. So when you go somewhere, whether you go into your classroom, and I know we have several different groups in here from the ISD, whether we're in maintenance, whether we're in the cafeteria, whether we're in housekeeping, whether we're in central office, I believe we have, how many central office people we have? Okay? What can we do in there? All right, what can we do to change stuff up to be safe? So we're going to script everywhere we go. You guys go out to the movies this Friday night? Sit down to the movies. How many exits do I got? How many ways out? You know, that's all scripting is planning what to do before it happens so that when it happens, we don't have that deliberation stage. You automatically know where the exits are in here. You automatically know where you can go. You automatically know things you can hide behind. So that way your reaction, we're not using those seconds. That reaction is much quicker. That's all scripting is. You can use that in life, whether you're at the boat show, whether you're at training ground, whether you're at the movies, whether you're at work. It doesn't matter where you go. We want to make sure we script. Practice, that more comes down to the school, okay? Just like y'all run fire drills every year, right? You run your lockout drills and everything, right? That's what practicing is. Make sure we practice, 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 okay? One more thing when you script. If you have a classroom, if you have a maintenance room, if you're in the central office, if you're somewhere like that, we talk about barricading. So when you set your office up or you set your classroom up, how many teachers do we have? That's a lot. So when we set that classroom up, okay, it doesn't do me any good that the door's over there and my desk is on this end. Because how long does it take to move that desk all the way across that room? So we want to script. We want to set our classroom up where it's a whole lot easier. Something happens, I want to take my desk and do this. Boom, and it's in that door. Okay? That's what we mean by scripting too. So don't think it's just where your exits are. It's stuff like that. How many windows are in your classroom? Are you on the first floor? Are you on the second floor? What can I use to barricade? Where's my filing cabinet? All that stuff. Pay attention to that when you set your offices up, Kim, when you set your classrooms up, when you set your maintenance room up, anything like that, it can all be done, okay? Back in the day, y'all were taught to hide and hope by alert. Through updates, we're on alert 8.0 now. We've changed that. There's no more hiding and hoping. We want to get out, remember? One of the other things that people do is I can't really go anywhere, so I'm going to play dead. Don't do that. It doesn't work, and I'm going to explain to you why, okay? And this young lady right here. This is the young lady for Virginia Tech. She did try to play dead, and this is kind of what happens.
We heard the first shots at around 9:40 a.m. I was sitting on the wall of the classroom, so in the hallway, and I could hear the shots getting closer and closer very quickly. I mean, there was only a few seconds between the first time we heard them and when he actually walked in. To me, it sounded like an axe being taken to a piece of wood. And our teacher, she opened the door and she peered outside and she immediately shut the door and she said, "Call 911." And right then, he walked in just seconds after. There's absolutely no time to think or to duck or to take cover, and people just kind of fell to the floor. And he immediately walked in shooting, and he went to the other side of the classroom and he started going down the rows. He went down each row very quickly, very purposefully. And I remember thinking, your turn is coming. You're going to get shot. I mean, I didn't realize there was an active shooter, but I knew something bad was happening. He came back to our classroom 3 times, and on the 3rd time, he killed himself in the front of the class. In between each time he was there, you could just hear people crying and coughing, and the cell phone started ringing. When he was in our class, I remember trying not to breathe very much, so he couldn't tell I was alive. Because as my stomach was hitting the chair, I was thinking, you know, he can see me breathing, he can see me alive, and that was very scary. I'll never forget when the SWAT team first broke in at around 9:51. The officer in the front of the classroom said, "We have a lot of blacks in here." And at the time, I couldn't comprehend what he was talking about, but he meant triage codes. And I remember looking into the girl to my right and realizing, you know, what black meant. He looked over me and he said, first he said yellow, and then he changed it immediately and he said red. And that's when I first started panicking. I still couldn't speak. I was shot 3 times, lying on my back. And I remember thinking, what do you see? Like, what can you see on me that I can't, that you would change me from yellow to red? He killed 12 people in my classroom, including our teacher.
All right, playing dead. Why did it not work for her? Does anybody know? It's not going to work for any of us, and here's why. My athletic people back there will tell you this. We take you outside to the track. We make you run that 1/4 mile as fast as you can. We get that heart rate up to about 175. I'm going to tell you, stop, sit down, and don't breathe. Everybody knows it's not possible. Human body doesn't work that way, right? She's at that 175. She's trying not to breathe, so he can't see her, and she can't control that. So what does he do? He shoots her 3 times. So playing dead does not work, and this is why, okay? Hide and hope, we don't do that, okay? Here's the one thing that I want y'all to understand the most. When anything like this happens, there's no right decision, and there's no, well, I take that back. There's no right decision, and there's only one wrong decision. And that wrong decision is indecision, okay? Even when we do stuff as law enforcement, we debrief afterwards. Why? Well, we messed up there. We need to do better here. Because it may not be the best decision, but whatever you do, make a decision and do something, okay? Doing nothing is the only wrong decision y'all can make. Other than that, remember, there's no wrong decision. Make the best decision you can and go with it. Decisive action. You're going to see this stuff a lot. Y'all are educators. You know how they pound stuff into your head. It's kind of like, you know, when you're young and you meet that girl somewhere and she gives you the number 555-1231. What'd you do? You walked all the way home saying it like 90 times in your head so you wouldn't forget it. Same thing they teach here, okay? Avoid, deny, and defend comes from alert. Run, hide, fight comes from the FBI. They both mean the same thing. You can remember either acronym. It doesn't matter to me, okay? So what's the first thing we want to do? We're going to avoid. We're going to run. We're going to get away if we can. That's obviously our first decision, no matter what. Second one, we can't get out. Here he comes down the hallway. The door's locked. We don't have any windows. We're going to deny and hide. How do we do that? We're going to barricade those doors with everything that we've got. And then we're going to get out of sight. Because remember, target availability. If he can't see you, he can't harm you. Okay? Last is defend and fight. I can't tell you to make a personal decision. I can tell you what my decision is going to be because I'm not going to let somebody harm me without doing something about it. So if you ever find yourself, you have to make that personal decision right here to defend and to fight. And when I mean fight, it's the street fight. It's for your life. Okay? So if you happen to kill someone while doing it, so be it. It's either you or him at that point. Okay? But you have to make that decision on your own. Avoid and run, leave as soon as possible, know your exits, and call 911. One of the things that people tend to forget, we're all in that panic mode, right? We tend to forget to call 911. You got to tell us. Remember, my officers are eating some donut somewhere down there behind Walmart. He's got to know what's going on for him to respond and help you, okay? Teachers in your classrooms, if you are in a situation where you're hiding and you've already barricaded and you don't want to be heard, take your cell phone out, dial 911, and set it on the ground. You don't have to say a word, okay? It's still going to come through. The address where the call is made is still going to come through, and our dispatcher may try to talk to you, but you don't have to say anything. We know it's there. She's going to dispatch 2 units automatically because we have an open line 911, and that's what you're going to get. As soon as my dispatcher uses that phone, what have you provided us? You've provided us ears into what's going on, okay? As soon as my dispatcher comes back and hears those gunshots, she's going to tell those officers responding, shots fired. And at that time, it's going to start raining police, okay? We're going to start raining those police on y'all, and we're going to pick up our response times. So if you can't do anything else, dial 911, set your phone down, and leave it there. That's what we need you to do. We're going to hold on just a second here. This next video, what's the first thing we do? Run, right? We threw this in here because it's great. Guy goes in with a gun. Nope, gotta go. First thing they're supposed to do, run, 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 right? We put this one in here. This is a real standstill picture from a video. We took just the still from it, okay? There is an event going on in the store. You have your employee back here in the back, hiding in the back room. When you go through, where's she at? She's cruising around at 175. She's sitting right next to the exit door. But she's at that 175. Remember, she's right here, but I don't know it. because she's already closed in. That auditory's already shut down. All right, here's the best part. There's a roof vent right there. She's got 2 exits within 12 inches of her, and she doesn't recognize either one. She's got to take that deep breath. What do I need to do to complete my task? Either go up or go out. But there's your safety measure right there. All right? Deny and hide. Lock that door, lights out of sight. Those seconds count, which is why the school district's changed over. And I believe, if somebody can't correct me, I believe the state changed over to keeping the doors locked in all the classrooms everywhere. This is why this stuff happens. One thing less that the teachers, or even you as a maintenance or central admin or whatever, doesn't have to do. You hear something, you know what it is, door's already locked. We talked about barricading and lights out. We haven't really covered lights out yet, but that's kind of an obvious. Wherever you're at, shut the lights out. Turn them out. Even if you're not in the dark, less visibility, so shut those lights off. Simple door stops. I know a lot of teachers and people have asked us before, what's the best way to stop a door? I can tell y'all right now, okay? Those little door stops right there, you can get them on Amazon for a couple of bucks. Those things are remarkable. We've even tried to get through them as police before with door rams. Those things are unbelievable. I'm better off taking the hinges off. So the easiest, most inexpensive way that we can tell you as people working in places and things like that, buy a few door stops, stick them in your drawer. Kick 2 or 3 of those under the door, and I'm telling you, God can't get in the thing. Those things are great, okay? Barricade, heavier the better, more the better. Door stops, even better. You can shove 5 desks in front of that thing, and it doesn't work as well as one of those rubber door stops. That thing's unbelievable, all right? Before we get into this video, how many have windows on the first floor in here? That's quite a few. The windows don't open, I believe, right? Go down to Home Depot, get yourself a handy dandy little hammer, put it in your desk drawer, okay? Take that hammer out when you need it, hit that window in the corner, not in the center. If you hit it in the center, it'll bounce back in your face. That happens to a lot of our new officers with batons. Hit it in the corner and you'll knock that window out real easy, okay? So what can we do? We got door stops in our desk right now that we can put behind our office doors, our maintenance doors, our cafeteria doors, our classroom doors, anything like that to keep that door closed. We're going to turn the lights out. If you got a window, take that hammer, tap it in the corner, knock that glass out, and get out, okay? Be careful on the glass on the bottom. I noticed as I go through the schools, it seems like every teacher in the world has an area rug in their room. I don't know if they hand those out to y'all when you get hired, like welcome to EMS ISD, here's your area rug, okay? But think about what you got. So we knock that glass out, we're going to throw that area rug over it, and we're going to start pushing our students out of it. That way they don't get cut on the glass. If you don't have an area rug, find something. What we're going to start talking about now is thinking outside the box. Find a backpack, find a coat. Anything you can find to protect them on the glass, start pitching them out, okay? One of the concerns we had when we first taught this first year is when you push your kids out the window, where do they go? They all take off in different directions, and I don't know where little Timmy is, I don't know where little Jenny went, and all that stuff. Don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry about it. You as a parent, would you rather know that your child was stuck in the classroom and harmed so we knew where little Timmy was? Or would you rather go, little Timmy's okay, he's out, we're just not sure where he went? Yep, we're going to let little Timmy and little Jenny run, okay? We'll find them. You want to know how we're going to find them? Because what's the first thing that everybody does? They're on that phone with mom immediately. Even when we do a lockdown here, how many of your students have contacted mom on a phone before you guys even had time to do anything? They all go to mom. Dad? No, nobody cares about dad, okay? Yeah, but they're going to go to mom quickly on that phone. So when little Timmy or little Jenny go out that window and they start taking off running down whatever street, don't worry about it. Mom's going to know where they're at before you do. We'll find them, okay? The point is, out the window, just like Virginia Tech. Get them out as fast as you can, okay? Positioning, this is where it comes into that decision that you got to fight, all right? Grab the gun, fight, and shift emotions, okay? You'll notice by the picture where they're at, okay? If that door's right here, get to the side of the door, because remember, he can't shoot you if he can't see you. As soon as the barrel of that gun comes in, I'd be grabbing that barrel, because now you control that barrel to a certain extent. You have control of where that barrel's pointed, okay? Grab a hold of the barrel of that gun and do whatever you have to do to win that fight at that point. That is the best way that Alert has come up with to defend yourself when that happens. Back to what I told y'all, avoid, deny, defend, run, hide, fight. Why do we pound it in your head? Because when something happens, deep breath, shift your emotions, calm down, big picture, avoid, deny, defend. That's what I've got to do here, and in what order. One of the things that Alert wants y'all to understand is what you do does matter, no matter what it is that you do. Do something. Remember, what's our only wrong thing? To do nothing. Do something. What you do does matter. It will save your life and others, okay? If you're on the way out that door and she's panicking and she's just kind of standing there in that 175 and she's not doing anything, grab her and take her with you, okay? Come on, let's go. Keep going, get moving, because people will do that. Attack starts. This is just a little, what do we do here? I'm going to blow through it, we'll go through it that way. So the attack starts. Where's my primary exits? If I have any, we avoid and run. We get out. Whether it's a window, whether it's a door, whether it's a roof hatch, whatever we have, we're going to get out, okay? We don't have any, we're going to deny and hide. That's where we come into that barricade situation, deny him access to you. Remember what I told y'all at the first. Statistics show they don't normally take a lot of time trying to get in something they can't get in. They move on down the road. So we're going to deny that access and we're going to hide because he can't see you, he can't hurt you. Any other exits that I missed, anything like that? No, your last choice, defend and fight if he makes it in. Don't let him, don't become an Alert number. I don't want one of y'all to be one of that 316, okay? Defend and fight, okay? Don't go down without putting up a fight. This video here is probably basically what this is these are Alert instructors that put this together. One of the big questions we've always had from educators is nobody really knew what to do or what to expect in a situation, okay? This video here is 2 Alert instructors. It is an active shooter situation in a school. They're going to respond to the school. You'll notice when they get there, the doors are locked. They can't get in. They're going to show you why that doesn't matter, okay? They're going to actually enter the school. They're going to do exactly how we're trained by Alert to stop that threat, okay, and end that situation. Go. Shots fired. Shots fired. Chain. Let's reach her up. Ready.
Good. Loading.
Covering.
I'm up.
Okay, need four.
Got it. 4.
Hands. Let me see your hands. Stay on the ground. Keep your hands where I can see them.
Okay, I got one down here.
Everybody just stay on the ground. Keep your hands where I can see them. I got multiple down on this side of the room.
Okay, let's move them, put them on a dirty wall back there. We've got these right
I'll
here.
hold him, cuff him.
Okay, you hold them. I'm moving the cuff.
That's how I was holding.
That's how it's supposed to be done. You'll notice it was quick, it was deliberate, and it was precise. They stopped the attack immediately, okay? We're actually going to back up because there's something I want to point out here. And I'm going to stop it at a certain area. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Chain. Reach her up. David Mason! Don't shoot me! Die! Open door on my side. Die!
Engage the subject.
Ready. Good. Loading. Covering.
Right after it engages the subject, what did everybody notice they do? They didn't rush into that room. Okay? Why did they stop? That's good, yes. Where's the officer's heart rate? He's way up there, okay? He's already come down the hall, and as y'all noticed, when those shots are being fired, we're going to move down that hall very quickly, but we're going to do it with a deliberate motion, okay? There's usually open classroom doors. We have to check those as we go by. So there's a lot going through that mind, and he knows he's running towards the gunshots. That's a tough thing to do. And then you come up, you engage the shooter in an active gunfight. Now that officer's where? Here. He's right here visually. So they're going to do that pause, and every one of them are doing this. Bring it down. Start listening. Open it up. You'll hear him, I need 4, because he has 4 people with him. And then you'll hear them say, you have 4. That's them telling him, I'm down, I'm ready. Because when you enter that room, remember, we can't see over here, okay? We don't even know if there's that second shooter. So entering that room is another one of those little instances that you really don't want to be in, but you're kind of at the top of that roller coaster, and now you're on it because you got to ride it anyway. So calm down, open those sights. What's the task we have to complete? We have 4. Enter the room and complete the task, okay? Saginaw High School allows us to train alert every year in their school during the summertime. I would like to tell Saginaw High School and EMS ISD, thank you very much for letting us use the school shooting to do that, because we usually destroy the B hallway. If any of y'all are teachers from the B hallway, I'm sorry. Okay? But we test that theory a lot. So as we go through it, we use Sims rounds. For those of y'all who don't know what they are, they're like paintballs on steroids. They hurt, and they leave marks, and once you get hit once, you don't want to do that anymore. You won't play, you know? So one of my roles this year was they engaged the shooter, they took him down. I'm in the teacher's desk, which is always over in the other corner. I don't know if that's like a rule with y'all or what, okay? And I'm sitting in the chair, and I have a fake gun down between my legs while I'm sitting in that chair, okay? My job is once they enter the room, if someone does not notice that gun within about 2 seconds, I'm going to light you up. And you're going to learn why you should have noticed that gun, because those hurt. I can proudly say, out of every group we had, including other agencies, because other agencies do come over and train with us, everybody noticed that gun immediately when they entered the room. How were they able to notice that? Deep breath, calm down, refocus. Enter the room and deal with the situation until you get it solved. When the police arrive, this is what we want you to do. Whatever you do, follow whatever command that we give you, okay? Everybody asks me so many questions about how do we go about this and that and this and that, okay? These situations are dynamic and they change by the second, so we have to be dynamic and be fluid and change by the second with it. You would think if you're coming in, I'm coming down the hallway, and all y'all are running towards me to get out, and I yell at y'all, stop, get on the ground, stop, get on the ground. Y'all are thinking, the freaking exit door's right there, dude. You know, remember, we may know something or we may see something that you don't know about. Your safety is our #1 concern, period. So if we tell you to stop and get on the ground, follow that command. We know what we're doing. Stop and get on the ground. It may be there's a shooter behind you. We want you down because there's fixing to be bullets flying in between us. You know, we don't know what it's going to be, okay? Show those palms. The reason we go to show those palms, this is something y'all can use every day in everyday life, okay? Police are trained at one thing. We look at people's hands. That's what we do. We're trained to look at people's hands. Why? Because these are what hurt you, okay? So we're trained to see those hands. So when you come around that corner and everything's quick, what are we looking at? We're looking for your hands. What's in his hands? Does he have a weapon? Does he not? Are they in a defensive position? Are they in aggressive position? We're reading you by your hands. Where's those hands? That's why you always hear the police, show me your hands, show me your hands. All right? Do not move. If we tell you to stay still, just stay still. We will get you out as soon as we possibly can. The other problem that we have, who said that second shooter? Right there. So we come in and we have the same situation in your workplace where we engage the shooter, we stop the threat. Are we done? No. Okay. So if you guys are still in a classroom, we may tell y'all, or even in an office or wherever, stay right here. Okay? Because we're not done yet. We don't know that he's the only one. All right? One of the other things that comes up a lot from teachers is we want to carry. All these teachers want to bring their own gun. And I get it. It's Texas, right? Why do we not want y'all to do that? If alert comes up for a way to make that safe for y'all, I'm all on board. Right now, everybody remember that video? You will be perceived as a threat, because what do we normally do? Everybody watches Cops and whatever PD Live, and I don't know how to watch that stuff, or even the news clips and stuff like that. You see police when they arrive, what do? Show me your hands, drop the weapon, get on the ground, roll over, play dead, whatever the commands are. And we give them several times. Show me your hands, show me your hands, show me your hands. You'll notice in this, there's no commands. Alert is taught different. This is an active attack event. We are trained to find the threat and stop it. So if we come around that corner and you're that teacher or that coach or that administrator or that principal or whoever, and you've got that gun in your hand, we're going to shoot you. Okay? Because all we know, there's an active shooting event, there's a gun, take the threat out. That's something that we'll have to work on how do we identify that, okay? So we don't want to accidentally shoot you guys, all right? Even when we train, if we come from two different hallways, you guys will actually hear us sometimes yell, blue, blue, blue. We're trying to tell the other officers, don't shoot us, because that instinctive response to that gun. So you'll hear us yelling, blue, 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 so they know who's coming around that corner, okay? What is our focus? Stop the killing. What we just talked about. We're not going to sit there and argue with you about put the gun down and everything else. If you have it, you're the threat, we're going to take that threat out because we have to stop the killing, and that's what we're going to do. All right, second thing that we concentrate on is stop the dying and evacuate the injured. Now we're going to come 360 back to where we were about 3 minutes ago. So you're in your classroom, we won't let you out. You've got people in here bleeding to death. They need medical help, we know. Where's our second shooter? We're not done until we say we're done, all right? I can tell y'all right now, I found several open doors in my career field at Saginaw High School in the middle of the night. Dadgum, you people. It takes us about 4.5 hours to clear that school, and that's with 6 officers, because they're big buildings. Well, we can't wait 4.5 hours while somebody's bleeding to death or something like that. So what we do is we have what we call hot and cold zone, or hot, warm, and cold zones. Obviously, the cold zone's way out across the street at 7-Eleven drinking that Slurpee. Hot zone is a place we haven't cleared yet. There could still be active shooting going on in there. That warm zone is going to be where you're at. So you come into that room or that maintenance room or whatever where somebody's injured and they're bleeding. What are we going to concentrate on? We're going to concentrate on sealing that hallway off with officers at both ends for your protection, turning it into a warm zone, and then we're going to concentrate on treating the injured and getting them to EMS personnel as fast as we can safely. Okay? So that's how that kind of comes down. So if you guys are told, stay here, don't do this, don't do that, just follow the command. We have a system that we're running through to treat everybody as quickly as we possibly can, okay? But we have to do it safely or we end up with more injured and more people killed. Training EMS delay, that's what we just talked about. EMS is delayed to you until we can get them to you. Have y'all ever noticed when we go to things like that, what does the fireman do? We're not going in there. Not that you say it's safe. I don't know why all y'all love firemen. You know, yeah. That's that delay, because they're going, if we run in there, now we're going to get shot. Then we got another person that's been injured or killed. All right, people need help. We know that. Seeking additional training. There is a website. It's called Stop the Bleed. It's the one we recommend. It's a really cool website. If you ever get bored and you're sitting at home, instead of watching TikTok, go to that real quick. Read through it. It teaches you how to stop the bleed. It teaches you what you can do in that situation while you're sitting in that office or you're sitting in that classroom and whatever, she's been shot in the leg and she's bleeding profusely. We got to stop it because the gunshot didn't kill her, but she's going to bleed to death. You know? So this website's really, really good about helping you with that. When we get to stop the bleed or we get to providing that stuff, this is where I want you guys to think outside that box again. All right? We don't have medical kits in there, neither do police. We have one tourniquet on our belt. That's it. Usually in an active event, I got how many that are shot? Flip a coin, figure out who gets one tourniquet, what? You know. So we got to think outside that box. How many men in here are wearing a belt right now? How many men got a tie on? How many men got a sock on? Tourniquets, baby. Start using them, okay? When you apply tourniquets, they're not comfortable. They're going to hurt because you got to apply them tight enough. How do you know when they're tight enough? If that bleeding's still coming out, start getting tighter. They're going to be telling you, that hurts. Keep getting tighter because that blood's still coming out. You'll know when it's tight enough, all right? Most of the tourniquets are very, very easy to use. If y'all ever want to buy any, you can. They're cheap. You can get them on Amazon. And all these little kits that your school district put in by your AEDs all have a Cat 5 tourniquet in it, okay? Slide it on, pull it tight. There's a little knob on top, start twisting. It'll tighten it down. When that bleeding stops, lock it into the plastic so it can't untwist, and you've got that tourniquet on, okay? This thing's got the Cat 5 tourniquet. It's got a permanent marker. We'll get to that in a second. It's got some compressed gauze. It's got a chest seal. It's got a mask for CPR, trauma shears, gloves, things like that in it, okay? Every one of those are now by the AEDs in every school, all right? When we talk about those tourniquets, one of the things that I want y'all to remember, you put a tourniquet on anybody, find a pen, find a marker, find some lipstick out of your purse, anything you can write with, eyeliner, okay? And on the tourniquet, if it has a white tag, I want you to write the time. If it doesn't have a white tag, write it right on their forehead, okay? If you can't write it on the forehead, write it across their chest. Why those areas? Because the trauma doctors know what that is. That's the way they're trained. If they see a time on a forehead or a chest, they know that's the tourniquet. They get really, really mad when they get downtown and they don't have a time. I don't know, something to do with treating you medically. I'm not a doctor. Make sure you write down that time though, okay? Because those doctors are going to be looking for it as soon as they get to you. As far as the tourniquets go, if y'all want to keep some in your classroom, you can. Cat 5 is it's kind of like a Michael Kors purse, if you will, ladies. You're paying for the name when you can get a purse at Walmart. So when you go on there, the Cat 5s are like $30 a piece. Keep looking. You'll find them for like $5 a piece. Those tourniquets work just as well, but if you want to buy 2, 3, 4 of them, stick them in your desk drawer with your handy dandy little hammer and your area rug and all your supplies you need when this happens, okay? You can buy those tourniquets and you can keep them in your desk drawer and stuff because they will come into play when we need them.
911, what's your emergency? There's a gunman inside the store. We need help now.
Do anything last weekend? It was very nice, wasn't it?
Right about is the new system enhancement. What's going to be the solution by the time we...
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Actually think he's got an old, well, he's got a truck. I don't know if your daughter would be interested. Yeah, definitely. Now, she figured out what college she wants to go to?
911, what's your emergency? We need help help. There's a gunman inside the store. He's shooting the place up. We need help now.
Issues that we found. Okay, Emily, see what that is. See what's going on. Just let us know what you find out.
There's a man with a gun. He's right there.
What's the wall? Lights. Lock it.
Right County. There you go. You're safe for that.
There's a guy with a gun. He's shooting. Look.
James, we don't have
No, look.
Run! 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 To the right! To the right! To the loading dock! Come on, this way, this way, this way!
Oh, no, come here.
Yeah, in here, in here. The gunman's coming.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna have to defend ourselves.
I can't do this.
You're gonna see your daughter tonight, okay? We are all going to go home tonight, all right? We have a right to defend ourselves. Get the gun! Get the gun! Hey! Hold him down, hold him down!
Gosh, I'm just so glad you're okay.
Yes, we're all gonna go home. Everybody's going home. Yeah.
If you ever have the misfortune to be in an active shooter event, you deserve to survive. In our research, we have found that the actions that potential victims take during these events are critical to their survival. We have identified 3 options that have proven effective in many events. These are: avoid the attacker, deny the attacker access to your area, defend yourself. It is a personal decision, but you have a right to do so. Avoiding the attacker starts with being aware of your surroundings at all times and knowing what is going on around you. If you see or hear something that looks suspicious, take action. For example, the stalker took immediate and effective action to protect himself when he observed the shooter pulling out weapons from the bag. Others, however, hesitated, and this hesitation can cost them valuable time that they could have used to get away from the threat. If you hear something that is, or could be, gunfire, start trying to get away from it as soon as possible. Gunfire has a distinctive sound. Inside of buildings, the sound can be muffled or distorted. A single loud bang could be a person dropping something, or even thunder. But repeated loud bangs are much more likely to be gunfire. Additionally, look at the reaction of others. Are they startled or scared? Are they running? What are they saying? Any one of these events individually may create denial, but when put together should create a heightened awareness and stimulate an immediate response. It is important that you know how to get out. The situation will be chaotic and rapidly changing. In general, you will want to go to the nearest exit. But you must also understand that the closest exit may not be accessible or safe to use. If this is the case, go to a different exit. While avoiding the threat, consider the uses of cover and concealment. Cover offers protection from gunfire while concealment minimizes your exposure to the attacker. Try to keep objects between you and the attacker. If you can't avoid the attacker, sometimes the best option will be to deny the attacker access to your location. In many locations, this can be accomplished by closing and locking a door, such as they did in the meeting room. Locking the door has proven effective in many attacks. If the door does not have a lock, you can place heavy objects in front of it. Remember, barricades work best if the door opens toward you. If it doesn't, use things that are readily available, such as straps, belts, or objects that can be used to block or secure the door to make it difficult for the attacker to enter the room. This may at least slow the attacker down and give you time to identify alternate means of escape, such as adjoining rooms or windows. When attempting to deny access to your location, you want to make it appear that there is no one in your area. Lock doors, turn off the lights, silence your phones, and get out of sight. Your attempt to deny the attacker access to your location might fail.
The gunman's coming.
What are we gonna do?
We're going to have to defend ourselves.
Have a backup plan about what you will do. In many cases, this may be to defend yourself. You need to be in a place where you can act if the attacker comes into your location. In most rooms, you will line up against the same wall that the door is on, near the door so you can react, but not directly in front of it. If you are unable to avoid or deny, your best option may be to defend yourself by using whatever is available. In a situation where someone is attempting to kill you, you have the legal right to defend yourself. Attack weak spots such as eyes, throat, and groin. Fight to the best of your ability and do not quit until the attacker is stopped. This is what the workers in the warehouse did when they were unable to avoid the attacker and felt their lives were in immediate danger. Whatever option you choose, call 911 as soon as you are in a safe location. Provide any information that you know. The operator will ask you a lot of questions. If you don't know the answer, don't guess. Just say you don't know and only state the facts.
I'm not sure. There's 3 of us in the room. We're on the...
There's a guy with a gun. He's shooting.
This will be a complex situation, and we can't tell you what you should do in every case. What we can do is provide you with information about the options that we have found to be most effective for surviving these attacks. The ultimate choice is yours. What you do matters. Avoid the attacker. Deny access to your location. Defend yourself. Law enforcement will be entering a chaotic scene with limited information. Their first priority will be to stop the threat to your safety. The police may not know where or who the threat is. Listen and comply with their commands immediately.
Put it down, sir. Put it down. Both of you on the ground.
Police are trained to look at people's hands to assess threats. Do not have anything in your hands that could be perceived as a weapon, such as a cell phone.
Show me your hands, sir. Show me your hands. Move to us. Everybody, keep your hands up, please. Walk out the door.
If told to do so, stay where you are and do not make sudden movements. Again, follow all commands. Remember, what you do matters. Avoid the attacker. Deny access to your location. Defend yourself. Remember, ADD. You can survive.
One last thing I want to cover with y'all, because most of y'all are in rooms that aren't small offices, whether they're maintenance rooms, cafeterias, especially classrooms, okay? When we come along that classroom and that door's right there, I want y'all to think about this, because even as officers, when we're clearing that classroom, I can see straight down the first hall or wall, and as I move, I can see everything in that classroom going this way, right? But if you'll stand out in the hall and do this yourself, there's that little piece of pie right there against that one wall that runs along the hallway. I can't see unless I enter that room, all right? So what do we call that? We call that real estate. So when you have your classroom, you own 100% of real estate, it's your classroom, right? When that bad guy comes up, you just sold 80% of that real estate to him. But he can't buy that 20%, okay? He can't see you there. So the one thing I want to cover is how do we hide, okay? We're going to barricade that door. We're going to turn those lights out. Tell your students and your friends and your staff and everybody that's with you, be quiet. Tell your students, freaking silence their phones, for God's sake, okay? We don't want to stop them from talking to mom and dad. We just want them phones to be silenced. And then if that door is right along here, the rest of your classroom's out there, we're going to come up and line right up against that wall. If you do that, he can't see you. When he can't see you, he can't harm you, right? So where do we go in that classroom? If you don't have windows, up against that wall, the long one that follows your door, that's that 20% of real estate that you guys own that's not for sale, and he can't see you there, okay? That way you don't have to worry about it. If you can't get against that wall, find a desk or something to get behind, but they're going to teach you to get along that wall every time, whether it's in the central admin building, whether it's in the maintenance room, whether it's in a classroom, wherever you go. Remember, along that wall, I can't see you right there. You can even try it out yourselves on your own classroom. Shut the door, come look through the window and see how much you can see that way. Okay? Thank you for watching the class. I appreciate your time. If y'all have any further questions or concerns like that, if you could please email your EMS ISD Police Department at the link below.